have in the chat, or you can raise your hand, and I believe that you can also unmute yourself. But let us know if you have any questions, and we can go ahead and start with that. And we have Ben Tsoundue with us. Are you on, Ben? Did you start your video?
What? Oh, some people do some large. No question, right?
So before we start, are there any questions, anything that you would like to discuss or to go into more details from the last week? I believe everyone should have received your synopsis, a summary of last week's teaching. So if there's any questions, please feel free to post, otherwise then we'll continue with this teaching.
Okay, yeah, no problem. Yeah. Oh. Okay. Okay, so we continue to read with the carry on with the. What's the page? There's no page number. Oh, page one. Page one, I think. So we will read, and then those when it comes to the important points, then I will elaborate. So here, among those present in 1921 was God, right? Everybody got this. Yeah, review means, I mean, yeah, I will continue to read. Yeah, this page, I don't know, page number. I don't have page number. I don't have to find page number. Page number, no, I don't see any page number. Among those present in 1921 was Kyabje Tejang Doji Chang, one of Pabonga's Rinpoche's closest disciples, and later junior tutor to 14 Dalai Lama, and root guru of many of the Gelug Lamas who fled Tibet in 1959. Tejang Rinpoche took notes at the teachings and over the next 37 years edited them painstakingly until they were ready to be published in Tibetan as Liberation in the Palm of Your Hand. So here, so many of you may either know or may not know Pabonga Rinpoche, and also the Tejang Rinpoche, and also the Ling Rinpoche. So Pabonga Rinpoche, who in the 19th century, the master of the 19th century, who received many of the transmissions, the teachings, and so Pabongka Rinpoche, especially of the master of the numerous teachings, he was also the one of the the master of the mind training practice, and also the master of the Lamrim teaching. And then in the Vajrayana tradition, he of the although he has he did receive many of the empowerment, many of the transmissions, the teachings of the Vesamaja, Yamandaga, and especially he is believed to be the emanation of Heruka Chakrasambhara and Heruka Chakrasambhara. So there are many the texts that he wrote, a wonderful text that he wrote on Heruka Chakrasambhara, and he also wrote many wonderful texts on mind training practice. And also the in the Lamrim, he wrote Liberation in the palm of your hand. And then he's one of the main students. He has many students, and especially those well known, for example, like Ling Rinpoche, and then Trijang Rinpoche. So these two spiritual beings are one of his closest disciples, closest students. And with regards to Ling Rinpoche, he was believed to be the emanation of Yamandaga. So Ling Rinpoche received so many teachings from Pabongka Rinpoche. And when it comes to the spiritual guru devotion, so Ling Rinpoche held Pabongka Rinpoche in supreme. And similarly, Trijang Rinpoche, Trijang Rinpoche was Pabongka Rinpoche's one of the closest student. Trijang Rinpoche, he was the emanation of the Master Adisha's body, speech, and mind, and especially he was also the emanation of the Chakrasambhara, Heruka Chakrasambhara. And so His Holiness did receive so many teachings. Ling Rinpoche, Trijang Rinpoche, these two spiritual great spiritual beings are his the two root guru. And then from these two spiritual beings all received their transmission, the teachings in the ocean of the Buddha's teaching, all from Pabongka Rinpoche, right? So this is briefly about Ling Rinpoche, Pabongka Rinpoche, Ling Rinpoche, and Trijang Rinpoche, right? Trijang Rinpoche was the junior to His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and Ling Rinpoche was the senior to His Holiness the Dalai Lama. So not only these great beings, Pabongka Rinpoche, Ling Rinpoche, Trijang Rinpoche, not only good, not only the master of the teachings, but they are really gain mastery and command over the many of the knowledge, for like medicine, like astrology, and like divination, like linguistic, and also the Tibetan grammar and all these things, the poetry, So they have excelled in this knowledge. Pabongka Rinpoche was probably the most influential Gelug lamas of this century, holding all the important lineages of the Sutra and Tantra, and passing them on to the most of the important Gelug lamas of the next two generation. The list of his oral discourses is vast in depth and breadth. He was also the root guru of Ling Rinpoche, senior tutor of the Dalai Lama, Trijang Rinpoche, and many other highly respected teachers. His collected works occupy 15 large volumes and cover all aspects of Buddhism. If you have ever received the teachings from a Gelug Lama, you have been influenced by Pabongka Rinpoche. So now, His Holiness, a majority of the the mind training practice teaching, mind training teachings and the practice, and also and also many of the teachings on Buddha's discourses, many of the Buddha's teachings, and also in the Vajrayana, Yamantak, and there are so many teachings, so many transmissions, so many empowerments, all these received. Rinpoche and Tenzin Rinpoche received from Pabonga Rinpoche, right? Pabonga Rinpoche received from whom? Who was the main teacher of the Pabonga Rinpoche? The main teacher of the Pabonga Rinpoche was by the name the Master Jambil Huntup. Right? Jambil Huntup, who also was a great, the masters who also, really gained command and learned scholar in Lamrim and also the great practitioner of Lamrim, right? Jambil Huntup, Master Jambil Huntup. Who was the teacher of the Master Jambil Huntup? The teacher of the Master Jambil Huntup was Thabo Gyaltsang Khetup. Now, who was the Thabo Gyaltsang Khetup? Also wrote many wonderful and amazing teachings on, Chakra Samvara, Heruka Chakra Samvara. And then, who was the teacher of the Thabo Gyaltsang Khetup? The teacher of the Thabo Gyaltsang Khetup was Thabo Gyaltsang Tenzin, right? Another great master who also wrote many wonderful teachings on the Chakra Samvara practice, right? So if you try to find the source, there's a, there's a reliable source, there's a reliable source. One of the uniqueness in the the Gelug tradition is that in Buddhism and especially in Tibetan Buddhism is that they try to find the source, where the source comes from, right? So this shows the authenticity and the reliability of the teachings, right? So if we, with the source, if we try to listen to the teachings, if we try to put into practice, we gain a spiritual experience and realization because it has a real source. Something which has no source, just try to, with your based on your intellectual understanding, if you try to, teach other and other try to practice, no, not much realization, not much experience will be born in blossom in one's mental continent. So this is important to understand because Buddha should have spoken this and that teaching, and the great panditas and the great learned scholars studied it, listened to it, and the great translators translated from the Sanskrit into the Tibetan, and the great yogis of Indian Indian Buddhist, they should have practiced and they should have cultivated and developed the spiritual experience based on such a text. We study this. There is no doubt, there's no question that if we put into practice, we also develop the same spiritual experience. So this is another important thing that we should know. So Pabonga Rinpoche, during all the around came in around 19th century, but his teaching has especially the liberation, the palm of your hand. He gave so many teachings, so many great masters also studied under his feet, Then there are 4 main schools of Tibetan Buddhism, and all have Lamrim, all have Lamrim style teaching, but the Nyingma, Sakya, and Kagyu schools do not emphasize, do not emphasize the Lamrim as does the Gelug. Although generally in the Gelug monastic curriculum, the Lamrim is not taught to the monks, and quite late in their careers, it is often the first teaching given to the Westerners. And liberation has been the Lamrim that Gelug masters teach most, right? So here, what it says is, the translator, sharing his own view. He said, Nyingma, Sakya, Kagyu, they don't emphasize, on the Lamrim. So this is pretty not accurate. For example, in the Nyingma tradition, we call the old tradition, old school of Tibetan Buddhism. In the Nyingma tradition, they do have the lamrim. They also emphasize too much on lamrim. For example, what is the lamrim teaching? What is the lamrim text? Resting the mind at comfort. So this is text, this text, resting the mind at comfort and resting the mind at ease. So this is the text that Nyingma, the practitioner, use this text. So the composer, the great master Longchenpa wrote this text, and then there are three commentaries to it. Three commentaries to it. The Longchenpa himself wrote the commentary. These three commentary, right? The Garland of the White Lotus, the Great Chariot, and then the instructions to the label enlightenment. So this is composed by only one, the author, right? Author. So later on, around in 19th century, again, the great master Patu Rinpoche, Dzogchen Patu Rinpoche, he also composed one very beautiful text, which is also very easy to understand, very simple, easy to understand, also very, the moving text, Lamrim text, by the name of the words of my perfect teacher. So this was composed by Patu Rinpoche. So these are the Nyingma texts, So Nyingma, they do study, emphasis study. For example, resting the mind at ease, So this is also a wonderful text, Many Nyingma, they do study this text. And then in the case of the, Kagyu, right? When it comes to the Kagyu, they do have a wonderful text, what is called as, the Ornament of Liberation by Master Gamboba. Gamboba wrote this text. Gamboba was the disciple of the Milarepa, Lord Milarepa. So Gamboba has also produced so many wonderful, students, wonderful disciples, so many wonderful disciples. So Gamboba, although he was a Kagyu, right, but he did receive many teachings from the Kadamba masters. He did receive many teachings from the Kadamba masters. For example, like Chayuva, the Kadamba master called Chayuva. He did receive the teachings from the Kadamba master Chayulva, right? So based on this, he composed this wonderful text, the Ornament of Liberation. So Nyingma also do emphasis. So Kagyu also do emphasis on the Lamrim, the ornament of liberation. Then when we come to the Sakya, we may wonder, Sakya, they don't have teaching because we don't have Lamrim teaching. We may have not have heard. Sakya do have Lamrim, to essential Lamrim. But if you go into the Sakya's real teaching, the path and fruit, in the Sakya's teaching, what is called as path and fruit. In this path and fruit teaching, one of the main teaching of the Sakya tradition, right, path and fruit, we will find the concepts like three visions and the three continuum. In the three visions, the first vision is impure vision. So in which now all the Lamrim practice are explained in the three visions. All the Lamrim teachings are explained in the three visions, right? And then the concise, Lamrim teaching of the Sakya tradition is parting from the four clingings. So Sakya, they do have the teaching parting from the four clingings, right? So the composed by the great master Kunga Jinze, like this. So similar like Gelug tradition, Nyingma, Kagyu, Sakya, they do have the this Lamrim teaching, right? Except the term is different. The term is different. Maybe the term may be different. Otherwise, the subject matter is almost same, right? Yeah, like this. In his brief introduction, Kyabche Teja Rinpoche conveys a strong a sense of what it was like to be there. Indeed, this text is unusual among the Tibetan works in that it is the edited manuscript and an oral discourse, not literacy composition. Hence, not only do we receive some very precious readings, the essence of the eight key lamrims, right? So let me read, then I will explain. But we also gain the insight into how much discourses were given in Tibet. The points that deny the special feature of this teaching may be found in Trijang Rinpoche's introduction and at the end of the day 1, right? So we may wonder, if we were to study, the palm of liberation, right? If we were to practice the Lamrim text, the path of, liberation in the palm of your hand. What really is this text? What is the subject matter of this, wonderful text? So how this teaching is taught, by Pabonga Rinpoche. So yeah, many the masters requested, to give Pabonga Rinpoche to give this teaching, the Lamrim teaching. But what kind of Lamrim teaching, right? So Pabonga Rinpoche already composed the Lamrim teaching, liberation in the palm of your hand, and this teaching he was giving not in that way. Pabonga, how did this book come into being? The liberation in the palm of your hand. Pabonga Rinpoche practiced, 2 main lamrim. There are 8 main lamrim, but of these 8, of course, he practiced all these 8 lamrims, but mainly he practiced, for example, like Manjushri's words. There's one text called Manjushri's words, which was composed by the 5th Dalai Lama. And then there is another, wonderful text, wonderful text called easy, not easy path, blissful path, better say, joyful path. So he used these 2 texts, these 2 texts. In these 2 texts, what it talks about. So it talks about, these 2 texts are what sometimes, we called, naked, the naked discourses. The naked discourses means all the Buddha's teachings are essentialized. All the Buddha's teachings are condenses, very important, Buddha's teachings, we call the pit instructions are essentialized into these 2 wonderful texts, So Pabonga Rinpoche practiced these 2 lamrim, and based on his own experience, what kind of lamrim experience he developed, based on his own experience, then he taught the lamrim. That lamrim, somebody took the notes. Who was the person who took the notes? It was his closest disciple, Trijang Rinpoche. Trijang Rinpoche took the notes of this note of the teaching that Pabonga Rinpoche gave, right? So therefore, this particular lamrim later came to be known as liberation in the palm of your hand, right? Now, we may wonder, what are the 8 lamrims, right? The 8 lamrims. So I don't go into I don't go much detail into each of these 8 lamrims. I just, say the name. Master Tsongkhapa's, the great stages of the path to enlightenment. 1, middling stages of the path to enlightenment. 2, Master Tsongkhapa's short lamrim text, which is sometimes called as experiential instruction, experiential song, because Master Tsongkhapa, based on what he practiced, the lamrim, so based on his own experience, so he wrote this beautiful text, experiential song, right? 3. Then the 4th lamrim is 5th Dalai Lama's, as I mentioned, earlier, 5th Dalai Lama's Manjushri words, So this is also a wonderful text, really wonderful text. 5th Dalai Lama, all the Dalai Lamas are believed to be emanation of the Avalokiteshvara, right? Buddha of compassion, right? Compassion. So fifth Dalai Lama, unlike other masters, he studied Sakya, he practiced Sakya, he practiced Kagyu, he practiced Nyingma, he practiced Gelug, all non-sectarian, like fifth Dalai Lama. So he wonderful text. This text is a wonderful text, right? Fifth Dalai Lama, and then we have third Dalai Lama. Sorry, third Dalai Lama. First is third Dalai Lama. Third Dalai Lama composed one beautiful lamrim, which is very short, maybe 100 pages. So he lamrim by the name of the essence of the refined gold. The essence of the refined gold was the beautiful text, So this text, he taught in Mongol, because the Mongol were around those time, Mongol people, little bit, they waged the war, so they also looks like sacrifices the animals, and this. So then he gave this teaching to the Mongolian people, right? So then later on, Mongolian people, really become a good practitioner, right? Become a very good practitioner. So then we call Dalai Lama, right? Dalai Lama. Actually, it's called Dalai Lama. Dalai Lama in Mongol language is called Dalai Lama. So because of this, the name title Dalai Lama was given to the third Dalai Lama by the Mongol Emperor Altan Khan, right? So then in the Mongol, the third Dalai Lama really flourished the Buddha's teaching, and especially the Gelug tradition in the Mongol, in the Mongol region. So it's the third Dalai Lama, Sonam Gyatso, right? Third Dalai Lama, Sonam Gyatso, right? So the essence of the refined gold, right? Fifth Dalai Lama's text, Manjushri's words. So we have five, right? Five. Now six, which was the sixth lamrim. The sixth lamrim was one of the very wonderful texts by the first Panchen Lama, the easy path, right? So the easy path, people, now people, around those time, oh, Lamrim, the great Lamrim, oh, this is, too elaborate, people think we don't have much time, people, really want easy, easy and powerful, effective, of course, the chief best way of achieving the spiritual qualities like this. So then, now you see how the Jetsongaba, first Lamrim great, then middle, then very short. Dalai Lama's Sonam Gyatso's Lamrim, essence of the refined gold, and then the fifth Dalai Lama's Manjushri was, then Panchen Lama's the Lamrim, which is easy path. So he essentialized all the Buddha's teaching into this. If you look into this Lamrim, this Lamrim, this Lamrim is slightly mixed with Tantra practice. Because why it is mixed with Tantra practice in this Lamrim, there's a visualization of the nectar flowing down through your body and purifying all your negativities and so many things, right? So there is a special instruction which comes from the Vajrayana practice, right? So this Lamrim teaching is something very unique, unique and easy for many people. That's why it's called easy path, right? Easy path. And then the next Panchen Lama, Losang Ishi, Panchen Losang Ishi, composed wonderful text. Another text that is called a blissful path, joyful path. Why the name is given this? Why this name is given is now now in the bliss, in the easy path, although many rare instructions, many big instructions, many of the essential instructions is there, but it is not clear, not that clear, not that clear. So the students asked him, Panchen Losang Ishi, to elaborate it, to compose a text which would further elaborate, right? What is presented in the easy path. So Pension Losang he taught so in the blissful path, if I elaborate, no, this easy path, if I elaborate, the student asked him, after Pension Losang, Losang Chökyi taught this lamrim. Again, somebody took the note, and then somebody took the note. And then this note, the student offered to Pension Lama for review. So Pension Lama look at this into his lamrim. Oh, this is wonderful, it's very good, So the student asked if it is okay to include in his volume, writings. Pension Lama said, oh, very good, you can include in my writing. So this is how the easy path come into being. And then the next blissful path or joyful path. So this, upon the request of his student, so Penchen Lama taught this lamrim, right? So this is again, the joyful and blissful path is again a beautiful lamrim, right? In which many essential, many of the the lamrim teachings are so essentialized, condenses into it. So if you try to search the, source, it all went back to Master Tsongkhapa. Master Tsongkhapa gave to his student, the name. Oh yeah, Master Tsongkhapa gave this teaching into the now I forgot the name. Jambe Gyazo, yeah, Jambe Gyazo. Master Tsongkhapa gave this teaching to the Jambe Gyazo. Jambe Gyazo gave this teaching to the Pasuchu Genze gave this to the Chugi Doji gave this to the Losang Tundu, Master Losang Tundu gave this to the one Tungpa Jesab to Pension Losang Chuge. Right. So it looked like, this teaching lamrim, the blissful path and easy path. Don't think that Penchen Losang Chuge wrote this, text, But what is the source, Penchen Losang Chuge, up to Penchen Losang Chuge, up to his teacher, all this teaching not put into practice, not put into the writing. One must give mouth to mouth, from mouth to mouth, They are not put into, writing. Then Penchen Lama thought that this teaching would extinguish, on the verge of getting extinguished. So he really, thought, oh, it would be a great loss if such a wonderful teaching are to be, extinct. So he, put into writing. Penchen Lama put this into the writing, right? So that is what later called as the easy path and the blissful path, right? So this is how the blissful path came into being, right? And then we have the, so if you look into this, the lamrim, lamrim Jambel Shalom, right? The Manjushri's words. This is especially highly flourished, well flourished in the central Tibet. And then there's another lamrim, which is the easy path, which is then later flourished into the, Tsang region, right? So this is how it is flourished. And then we have the last lamrim, which is what is called as the essence of the eloquent speech. The essence of the eloquent speech. So the essence of the eloquent speech was, also it is very beautiful in the text. It contains many, many wonderful, how to do the practice and how to, really many of the, rare instructions you will find in that lamrim, right? Then, yeah, but about the biography, the detailed biography is not, available, right? This the writer of this, wonderful text, the essence of the eloquent speech, right? So this are all about the 8 types of lamrim. So I touched briefly, you know, I don't go much into detail, you know, we don't have much time.
So then, just to recap, from what you're saying, it seems very, Lamrim is a very important text. That's why there's so many teachers, high-level lamas have, in their ways, in their own ways, have created their own teaching. So that's one point. And I think the other point is that it's so profound and a little bit high level. So each of the lamas, when it gets to the eighth teaching, the eighth lamrim, it's a little bit easier and easier to understand, easier to practice. Is that the correct statement?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it looked like, you know, it looked like, you know, as time, you know, degenerates, you know, people have no, you know, time, people are busy, you know. So these great masters, you know, far-sighted, so they, you know, depending on the, you know, availability of the, you know, the practitioner's timing, so they make, you know, book must become thinner and thinner.
I also have a question then. You mentioned that this lamrim, the version that we're studying, is usually the first thing that's taught to the Westerner, but in the Gelug tradition, it's being taught like 10 years after you start your studies. Why is that so?
So, you know, this, so yeah, this lamrim, you know, many of the, you know, if we study the lamrim chamo, the great treatises, you know, the great stages of the path to enlightenment, you know, so the subject, you know, inside the subject matter a little bit, yeah, difficult to understand, right? Whereas when we, you know, come to the liberation in the palm of your hand, you know, the practice are simplified, you know, so it's easy to practice, and it also has, you know, many, you know, all the, you know, important points of the lamrim teachings, right? So also the most important thing is it is, you know, it use many examples, you know, beautiful examples. It also use, you know, many metaphors. It also, you know, easy to put into practice, right? They don't use so many, you know, thick words, you know. So yeah, this, you know, for the larger audience, you know, liberation in the palm of your hand is enough.
So in other words, so in other words, for lay people like us, this is the perfect way to learn lamrim. But in the monastery, you are studying the higher version of Lama Tsongkhapa's lamrim, correct?
Yeah, that's true.
That's great to know. Thank you, Van.
Yeah.
So if I can ask a question of Hannah or Ven, Pabunka, he drew mainly from Blissful Path and Manjushri's own words, but he also used all 8 other texts. Is that true? A synthesis of all, but mainly 2?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he mainly used the, you know, the main reference, you know, he because he practiced, you know, the subject. He practiced the path, you know, the path explained in the Manjushri's words, and also the path, those, you know, spiritual, you know, practices explained in the blissful word. He combined these two, right? He combined these two, then, you know, some spiritual experience developed, and based on this, you know, he also taught, you know, although he used the 8 lamrim, but mainly these 2 texts. Yeah.
So in Easy Path, if I don't read Easy Path, I don't get to enlightenment in 2 hours.
Right. Yeah.
I'll read Liberation.
That's wishful thinking, right, bro?
Yeah. The lamrim is extremely very important to understand, you know, because, you know, they are in early times, you know, there comes, you know, in very early times, you know, maybe in 11th century, their kind of the tradition, flourished tradition, flourished somehow. The people wear the the dress, right, blue dress below, and then the instructions, instruction appeared, which says, if you meditate for 1 week, seven days, in you become enlightened, right? And then what it does is, you need to meditate underground, and then it says, you get enlightened. Not only this, in early times there's a instruction called uh, uh, you know the person can achieve, the individual can achieve enlightenment in the daytime if meditate on daytime. The individual can achieve enlightenment in the nighttime when meditate on the nighttime. Those fortunate ones, without doing any kind of meditation, just instantly achieve enlightenment. that that was later, I don't know, the instruction was kicked out. Milarepa did the same thing, the great Milarepa, Milarepa, he thought, he did some spelling, black magic. And then he thought he was very fortunate, because he got the result in 7 days, in 1 week. So he thought he was very fortunate, that he got the result in 7 days, right? So, one of his guru, one of his teacher give the instructions, this kind of instructions, and then he thought, without doing anything, he would achieve enlightenment. And then he was not doing, he was just singing, lying on the bed, he was just singing, And then the master came, do you have some spiritual experience? And then the spiritual master saw him lying, singing, like this. Oh my goodness, this is not the way, I cannot tame you. I cannot tame you. You just go away. Like this. So he sent Milarepa to Marba, you better go to Marba. I have no karmic connection with you. Yeah, something like this. Yeah. Okay, then I will read. Meaningful pursuit. Therefore, what is that? Why? Oh, okay. Dear, next. Okay. Each chapter corresponds to today's teaching and usually begins with a short talk to see the motivation of the listeners. In the book, the motivation have been abbreviated in favor of the new material. But the remarkable first chapter, day 1, is both an elaborate motivation and an excellent glance meditation on the entire Lambam. In a sense, the rest of the book is a commentary on this chapter, as Pabongka Rinpoche makes clear throughout, dedicating ourselves to the development of the bodhicitta is the most meaningful way of directing our lives, and the graded realization summarized. Summarized in day 1 led us to that goal. At the end of the book, Pabongka Rinpoche says, practice whatever you can so that my teaching will not have been in vain. But above all, make bodhicitta your main practice. These teachings contain much that is new and unfamiliar, especially for Westerners. But as with any meaningful pursuit, study and reflection led to clarity and understanding. Right. So it talks about the motivation, when listening, for example, like even the thing is that even when we receive some kind of discussion, I mean, for your side is good, even though we do, of course, in the real teaching, the motivation is setting up the correct motivation, and the right motivation is very, very important. Even during discussion, it's up to the individual to cultivate a proper motivation, a right motivation, like these things, right? So generally speaking, not only the, in the teaching, in every kind of, lessons, for example, we listen to those lectures and important lectures, like these things. It is very, very important to have the proper motivation, right? For example, right now in the Lamrim teachings, it talks about, three kinds of, one need to listen to the teachings, or, not only teaching, in any kind of knowledge, one need to, listen in such a way that is free from the three faults, three faults. Three faults, what are the three faults is, you have the vessel, three vessels. When the vessel is turned upside down, what happens? Then teaching, one will not hear the teaching, right? We have the vessel is leaking from the bottom, right? Then whatever we hear, if you don't, think much, then one after a few days can totally forget, right? And then one is what is called as vessel leaking. Not only leaking, you have the vessel, if you put the, dirt, something, bad smell inside, and then you put the water into it, we are not going to drink, right? Why? Because it's polluted, right? Similarly, when listening to the teachings, if your, motivation is so much polluted, teaching not that much, effective for you, right? So therefore, it says, when listening to teachings, one need to, one need to have freed from these three faults, the vessel upside down, the vessel which has leaking, the vessel which is a contaminated vessel, right? Dirty vessel. With this, if you listen to the teachings, then it's really perfect, whatever we hear, it absorbed, in your mind very nicely, profoundly, like this. And then there are, six, and this kind of, when listening not only to the Dharma, even in the, if you studying, some kind of, in the school or university, so these things are, needed, right? So these things, for example, when we attend the teaching, sometimes it says, we are not living, we are existed. in the class, we get distracted, thinking about somewhere, no matter the lecturer, the professor gives the teaching, the mind go here. We don't hear, and then, then when the professor teaches something, we need to investigate, right? We need to, think very well, right? For example, I have that experience, when we attend the school, what we do is, when there's examination, right? When there's an annual examination, we have the 3 semester, right? 3 semester. What we do is, when we, study, when the examination come, we don't think why it is so. What we do is, what is stated in the book, each word we memorized. So this is how we pass the test. So then when we come into the real world, then it's a different story. Right? So like this. So then, we have the motivation, right? 3 motivation, and then we have the 6 types of motivation, right? 6 kinds of proper motivation to set up, right? I will not discuss this. And then, we don't, read this, this is, not that important. We will talk about, we go through this, which is a memo by Venerable Tsoundue, right? So we talk about the memo by Venerable Tsoundue, about, it was about the Pabongka Rinpoche, right? My guru, kind in 3 ways, who meet face to face with Heruka. I already told you that, I mean, His Holiness Dalai Lama himself, His Holiness also taught, emanation, right? Emanation of the Chakrasambhara, Heruka, whose name I find difficult to utter, right? So kind in three ways, kind in three ways. What are the, kind, sometimes we say, my teacher is kind in three ways, right? What are the kind in three ways? Kind in three ways means, for example, right, here, right, for example, you receive the, Bodhisattva vow, right? If you are a monk, you receive the monk vow. If you are a layperson, you receive the, layperson vow, right? So you receive the Bodhisattva vow, you receive the tantric vow, So this is the first one, because your teacher gives you all these things, right? And then the second one, second kind, first is the first kind. Second kind is your teacher give you the, teaching, right? Teaching, oral transmission. Or now, for example, a lamrim, right? Your teacher is going to teach you the lamrim, any kind of lamrim, not only lamrim, any kind of teaching, teaching, right? So kindly give you the teaching. So this is the second kind. Third kind is now your teacher give you the, the instruction how to do the practice, how to do the right way of doing the practice, right, correct way of doing the practice, right? Sometimes, we don't understand, oh, I can read from the book, I can use that, book. This is not enough, right? Now I will tell you, right? Now here, Buddha's teaching is like an ocean. Buddha's teaching is like an ocean, right? And then we know three principal aspects of the path, right? Three principal aspects of the path. What are the three principal aspects of the path? Is the sense of renunciation, bodhicitta, bodhidharma, and then the wisdom, right? Wisdom. So these three are the like the jewels, precious jewels, precious gem in the ocean, right? Then lamrim, so then the boat, ship, the ship is like the lamrim. The ship is like the lamrim, right? The ship is like the lamrim, and then we have the captain. The captain is like a spiritual guide, spiritual teacher. So, if we try to get some, precious jewels from the ocean, if we, take a walk, if you just try to take a walk, if you just try to go by yourself and try to search, it will take forever. You will not get any gold. You will not get any precious jewels from the, ship, from the ocean, right? So in order to get the, precious jewels from the ocean, what you need? What you need is you need the ship, first ship, right? Boat. You need to sail in the ocean. So you need the boat. Is it enough to have just the boat? No. Just to have the boat is not enough. You need the skillful captain. Where is the boat? The ship, the captain. The captain sail, and where is the the goal, the location, right? Similarly, now what it says. Similarly, if you try to just study the the vast teaching of Buddha, this directly from the Buddha's teaching, you get lost. We get lost. Yeah, what really is Buddha's teaching? So many teachings. One person saying this, one person saying this. We get lost. So what we need is, in order to really understand what is the Buddha's ultimate intention, Buddha's true intention, what you need is you need lamrim. We need lamrim. Without doing lamrim, in the Buddha's, some we put 20 volumes, 30 volumes. Right? I also have so many volumes. So that's not that we get lost. So the simple thing is just refer to the lamrim, right? Lamrim. Again, just is it enough to just study, from the book, lamrim book? No, you need a skillful teacher who really, show you the right way of teaching, how to do the right practice. Many of us doing the practice, but we don't know how to do in the right way. So sometimes, the people say, oh, I spent 10 years, I don't feel anything, I don't feel connected with the practice. Why? Because something of the real, the what we call as real and naked and the living, instructions is lacking. So that's why, when we do something, we do something in a very skillful way. So this is here is talking, kind in 3 ways, right? Kind in 3 ways. In sutra, in the sutra teaching, we have the kind in 3 ways. Someone, and not only this. Now we say here, we say the spiritual teacher, for example, we say spiritual teacher who is kind in 3 ways, right? And then say about training in faith and these things. For the time being, we leave aside. It's pretty complicated. Yeah, just the kind, kind in that respect. For example, we say one spiritual guru is kind in one spiritual guru is very kind to you. The spiritual guru is more kinder than the Buddha of the 3 times, right? Buddha of the 3 times. Now, for example, so many Buddhas have appeared. So many Buddhas have limitless numbers of Buddhas have appeared, right? So somehow they are not able to, guide us because of our high intelligence. And many Buddhas have appeared, and the great masters have appeared, right? And then the Buddha Shakyamuni have appeared. Of course, we were born in the era of Buddha Shakyamuni, but we are not able to see him, right? The only thing is that we are able to, see his text, see his, the teachings, right? So we say the person who benefit, yeah, right, day by day, day-to-day life, who benefit is, we say the spiritual guru that one has, this really, brings benefit, right? So in that respect, the one's spiritual guru or root guru is not only kind in 3 ways, is you say more kinder than the Buddhas of the 3 times, right? So this will be here it will it will deal in later. Okay. So in the also Vajrayana, now Vajrayana, someone who gives you you receive the empowerment, right? You receive the empowerment, Avalokiteshvara empowerment, green thara, white thara, Amithayus, Buddha Amitabha, whatever the empowerment, right? This one. And then empowerment, and then you also receive some instruction, receive some oral transmission, right? Oral transmission about some practice, right? Vajrayana practice, tantric practice. And then you also receive the finally how to do the practice. So there's 3 kinds, right? In sutra, you have the guru who did the kind in 3 ways, right? But here I'm talking more of the highest yoga tantra. Highest yoga tantra, then need to be very, it's a little bit delicate, delicate, and also it's a very sensitive. Need to be very cautious, who made face to face with difficult to pronounce, right, the name. So we say it's difficult to pronounce, because somebody is very, very, kind to you, really grateful to you. So for me, it says, very difficult to, pronounce the name. Yeah. This is, when we write the biography, we use this. Lord Prabhanga Vajrathara Deshenyingbo, Vajrathara, Lord Prabhanga Vajrathara, right? Vajrathara is, Vajrathara is what is the color of the Vajrathara? The blue, dark blue, right? Dark blue. Vajrathara means is the, the Buddha who spoke the Tantra in the highest yoga Tantra, right? So as I said, in the highest yoga Tantra, then things really change, then the guru really plays a, really crucial role. Without guru, there's no enlightenment. In the highest yoga Tantra, right? Highest yoga Tantra is, that's why I say it's very sensitive, very delicate, yeah, like this. So Vajradhara means, once Guru in the highest Tantra is addressed as Buddha, the real Buddha, Vajradhara, right? Of course, in the lower tantras and in the sutra, it's a little bit better. Highest Tantra, yeah. Then need to be very careful. Pe Sangbo was born north of Lhasa in 1878. His father was a minor official, but the family was not wealthy. Although the night was dark, the light shone in the room, and the people outside the home had a vision of protector of the roof. Right. Pavanga Rinpoche was an emanation of the great scholar Chanja Rebbe Doje, although initially it was thought that he was the reincarnation of the learned Khampa Geshe from Sereme monastery. Rinpoche entered the monastery at the age of 7. At the age of 7, did the usual studies of a monk, earn his Geshe degree, and spent 2 years at Yume Tantric College. So Pavanga Rinpoche, although he is not high ranking Lama, not like this, he was not a high ranking Lama like this. So he really led a very simple and humble and simple life. But the most important thing is that he put into practice. So that really gathered so many disciples, even the great the great the teachers, the great Rinpoches, the great Lamas. He all come under his feet, because he just did he sincerely put into practice what he studied. He really put into practice. This really amazed later on, as as we as seen that he really become the teacher of many great masters around around his time in the 19th century, right? So and at one point of time his son as a Dalai Lama was small, so then his son as Dalai Lama was small, so he could not take the political responsibility, political and spiritual responsibility. So the regent around his time, he requested Pavanga Rinpoche to take the position to lead the country of Tibet, right? So Pavanga Rinpoche declined, he refused. This alone says a lot of things, This alone, talks a lot of high level of practice that he does, right? His root guru was Thabo Lama Rinpoche, Jambil Nurup Jazo. From Shoka, he was definitely a bodhisattva, and Pavanga Rinpoche was his foremost disciple. Pavanga Rinpoche also the emanation of the Heruka, because one time he went to pilgrimage to the one Pavang area, one area, and there was a Heruka statue, Heruka Changra Samvara statue. So he did some talk in front of this Heruka. So what happened is the nectar come from the Heruka mouth, and then Heruka they predicted Vajrayogini and Heruka also predicted that I will take care of your disciple up to 7th generation, like this. So this is really wondrous. So then I will we have the time, or okay.
We can go on.
He was definitely a bodhisattva, and Pavanga Rinpoche was his foremost disciple. He lived in the cave in Pasang, and his main practice was bodhicitta. His main deity was Avalokiteshvara, right? And he would recite 50,000 the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum every night. When Gyabje Rinpoche first met Thabo Rinpoche, at a Tsok offering ceremony in Lhasa, he cried from beginning to end out of reverence, right? So sometimes this happen, right? When you have, for example, there are many masters, spiritual gurus, sometimes, what really happens is due to some karmic connection, out of when there is some karmic connection with the particular person, sometimes, the person waves, sometimes the person really develop such a high level of, the devotion. So these things could also happen, This also, indicate that, the close, karmic connection with the person. When Pabonga Rinpoche had finished his studies, he visited Thabo Lama Rinpoche in his cave and was sent into a Lamrim retreat nearby. Thabo Lama Rinpoche would teach him a Lamrim topic and then return to explain what he would understand, what he had understand. If he had gained some realization, Thabo Lama Rinpoche would teach him some more, and Pabonga Rinpoche would go back and meditate on that. It went on like this for 10 years. And if that's not amazing, what is? So in early times, they do, these time people are a little bit busy, In early times, in remote, area, what they do is, the teacher, the spirit guru give the instruction, give the instruction. That's why I told, right, we have the 3 Kadam, lineage, right? Kadam lineage. Kadam lineage, and the first is called Kadam, treatises. Kadam treatises or, Kadam treatises. That means, for example, we have studied for a very long period of time. For years and years, we spend, time studying Buddha's teaching. Sometimes, that's why Domdamba say, after having studied for so many years, when it comes to doing some Dharma practice, we are confused. We are lost, It looked like we need to go somewhere, some particular teacher to get all the instructions. Jazongaba said that's totally wrong. That's, that's not the proper way of doing, You really don't know how to put into practice, having studied for so many years. So, that's why, in Kadam treatises lineage, what happened is, what you have heard, for so many years, you essentialize all this into the Lamrim teaching, put into the Lamrim practice, and then you practice. That is called Kadam treatise lineage. And then the second one is Kadam instruction lineage, right? So those, sometimes, people due to the lack of, not have intelligent, so they don't study too much, So what they just receive just a short Lamrim, right? Short Lamrim, short Lamrim, the teacher give the short Lamrim teaching, and then based on this, and then person, based on this, then person try to practice, the disciple try to practice. This is called Kadam instruction lineage. Again, the third lineage is now, the third one is now the, person also don't want to go into text. So the master, the master or guru, based on his own experience, now you have to do this practice. You do this practice. What I teach you, you do this and do that. So the person practice, right, based on the guru's own experience, right? Based on guru's own experience. So this is Kadam, more kind of, I don't know how to say, Kadam practice lineage, right? So like this, in early times, do this way, right? For example, like, if you look at the biography, the Marpa, Marpa gives some teaching, to Melareba. So Melareba, he put the, Barelem on his head, and then he meditated for a long period of time, and then after he developed, the spiritual experience, then he, go to his teacher Marpa, and I have this experience, I have that experience, and then Marpa, oh, that's very good. Now I will move to next, next training, something like this, In olden times, this carries on. Now, due to the lack of time, from all the respect, this is a little bit difficult to do. It went on like this for 10 years. And if that's not amazing, what is this? It's really amazing, right? There's no any other amazing like this, right? 10 years, right? if you were to do for 3 months, oh, oh my goodness. I'm sorry. Anyway, yeah. Then Pabonga Rinpoche's 4 main disciples were Kyabchi Ling Rinpoche. Kyabchi Ling Rinpoche. Just hold on.
So then just imagine how much Paponka learned and practiced Lamrim 10 years, and to put all of this in a book and his teaching so that he can help us. So the least we can do, right, is to really learn this text inside out and understand it. Like as you said, I mean, we can all read, but if we don't understand with the help of a teacher, then how could we practice? Is that correct?
Yeah.
So that's the purpose, and I hope that everyone here join us. This is the purpose why we're doing this as a discussion, and I hope everyone can join in the discussion so that we can truly understand Lamrim, so we can also put that in practice, and hopefully we can all gain from this experience.
Definitely true. His Eminence Chunde Rinpoche also says, we do have many poor practice, Oh, we have plenty of poor practice. But the material, Avalokeshwara, Grintara, the Vacha Yogini, Goya Samaja, Yamantaka, so many. Oh, very wonderful, power practice. He saw in the Chunde Rinpoche, say, when you are on the bed, when you are dying, if you have Lamrim text, Lamrim grace stages apart, Lamrim text on your, on your head, it will guarantee that you will go to Pure Land. You don't need power. So this again, how this it works, this statement, how much it works, we understand. So yeah, what you say? I see. Yeah. So okay.
So everyone, is it okay we continue until 8:30, or should we end right here? Just give me a nod, those of you that's on the screen. We'd like to go ahead and finish the introduction if we can. Is that a nod? Yes? Okay. We'll continue for another 10 minutes then.
Yeah. So, I said, don't satisfied with the Lamrim, even don't think that I listen only one. Many great masters, they say, I received Lamrim 10 times. Still, they're not satisfied, Even for example, the great, the master, they say he received Lamrim 12 times, right? Still not satisfied. So there are many great masters, if you there's a biography of the Lamrim lineage masters, composed by one great master, almost as thick as this, all the Lamrim lineage masters, the biography, right? Biography. So the more we hear the Lamrim, the best things, if we really put into practice, practice, even we are not able to do that much, the important, it leaves the positive imprint, because in this we have taken the precious human birth. This will not come again. This precious human birth will not come again. This was already guaranteed by all the great masters. Such a precious human birth. This is something like amazing. The sheer luck, pure sheer luck. There's no game involved. Totally. It's almost like star in the daytime. It's purely like a star in the daytime that we have such a precious human birth. And this will never ever come again easily, right? So in this, at least we need to put some, some positive imprint. If we don't put some positive imprint in this way of life, there is no time come, no day will come in the future, right? So this is how we improve, We cannot, we practice Lamrim overnight. We enlighten. It's impossible, So step by step, we put some imprint, right? So through this way, then we progress on the spiritual. We progress as we make the spiritual journey, right? So like this, I will. He lived a child and gave him his. Yeah. Okay. Phamang Rinpoche's 4 main disciples were Kyabji Ling Rinpoche, Kyabji Trijang Rinpoche, Khansa Rinpoche, and Tara Rinpoche. Tartak Rinpoche. Yeah, Tata Rinpoche, who was, yeah, Tara Rinpoche, yeah, who was a region of Tibet. So Kyabji Ling Rinpoche, yeah, Kyabji Ling Rinpoche, I think do you know? Yeah, this picture, this was the Ling Rinpoche, such a great master, the emanation of Yamantaka, right? So this was composed by His Holiness Dalai Lama. He wrote his. Then this is the Trijang Rinpoche, the great master. Oh.
Go back. Go the It's not showing.
Huh?
I'll send them the picture.
I see. Yeah.
It's not coming through.
I see. So anyway, yeah, this is the Trijang Rinpoche, a very, really this Trijang Rinpoche and Ling Rinpoche, they cannot see, right?
Go back to where you were at. Where you're sitting. I think it's picking the screen. Move to the side. Yeah. Back. No, that's not showing.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, no problem. So Trijang Rinpoche, Ling Rinpoche, they're really, practice. They're really very, close, friends. Some, really close friends. Sometimes, Trijang Rinpoche make the long life offering to Ling Rinpoche. Ling Rinpoche make a long life offering to Chara Rinpoche. They, share the teaching with each other. They're like student and, a teacher relationship with each other. Such a pure, purity. There's a purity, right? So yeah, he later wrote his, before he passed away, His Holiness the Dalai Lama asked him to write his own biography. So because he was really excellent in poetry, the grammar. If you look, if you look into his biography, so yeah, amazing. So Tsoundue Rinpoche also received His Holiness Tsoundue Rinpoche received many teachings from Trijang Rinpoche, this great master.
So there's a close relationship from our children Rinpoche with all these great masters, and he learned directly from them.
Yeah. Mm. So I don't have to explain, how many teachings received, the limitless number of teaching. His own Dalai Lama, Tata Rinpoche was the main teacher of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, when he was a child, and gave him his novice ordination. I was born in Kham in Eastern Tibet, and 2 of my elder teachers were disciples of Pabongka Rinpoche. So I was brought up in the atmosphere of a complete faith in Pabongka Rinpoche. You see, the way they addressed the Pabongka, the way addressed His Holiness Tsoundue Rinpoche also addressed, Vajradhara Pabongka Rinpoche, Vajradhara Ling Rinpoche, Vajradhara Trijang Rinpoche. I mean, they both, Pabongka also, Ling Rinpoche and Trijang Rinpoche also addressed, His Holiness Dalai Lama also addressed Vajradhara Pabongka Rinpoche, Ling Rinpoche, Trijang Rinpoche, like this. They don't, use the direct word, right? There's no habit, some at one occasion, when, Master Adisha has 150 disciples, Master Adisha. So 150 disciples, when he used the Master Selingba, then, he put the, the folds like this, he put in the crown, he put, when somebody used the words, Adisha, Master Selingba get a little bit, annoyed, right? And then also, this Ling Rinpoche and Trijang Rinpoche both, I mean, Ling Rinpoche and Trijang Rinpoche both have many masters, some masters. But when they use the Pabonga Rinpoche, they say Vajradhara Pabonga. Yeah, like this. So it has some meaning, some deeper meaning why they do this. From how much faith I had in Rinpoche when I usually came into his presence. But I also had the personal reason for having great faith in him. I was the only son of an important family. And although the 13th Dalai Lama had recognized me as an incarnate Lama, and Pabonga Rinpoche himself had said that I should join Sera Monastery in Lhasa, my parents were not happy about him. Sometimes this happened right in the beginning, sometimes, in the monastery also, in the beginning, some, child does not, display some kind. But then later on, I think the same with Pabonga Rinpoche, right? In the early part of life, in the early, but then through slowly, I think some karmic imprint, blossom activate. Then their person become, surpasses everybody. So yeah, this surpasses everybody. That person become something very special, right? Some has this, tendency. Like we have one monk, we say one monk in the beginning of his life, not that well known, but then later on when he reached some higher classes, then he show his own aptitude, become rising, something like rising star. Yeah, this happens. Yeah. However, my father died soon after this, and I was finally able to set out for Central Tibet. Can you imagine my experience as I embarked on horseback on the 2-month voyage? I was only 14, and becoming a monk really was the thing to do for a fellow my age. I felt that the opportunity to go to Lhasa to get ordained and live as a Rinpoche, as the 13th Dalai Lama has said, I should was all the wondrous work of Pabonga Rinpoche. As the time for my arrival in Lhasa, Pabonga Rinpoche was living at a Tashi Chuling, a cave above Sera Monastery. So there was a monastery. So above there is a one, a cave. Pabonga Rinpoche used to meditate on that for a long period of time. We made an appointment, and a few days later, my mother, my Tsoundue attendant, a man in charge of my personal affairs, and I rode up on horseback. Although Rinpoche was expecting us that day, we had not arranged a time. Nevertheless, he had just had his own Tsoundue prepared tea and sweet rice, which freshly awaited our arrival. This convinced me that Rinpoche was clairvoyant, a manifestation of all the things Vajradhara himself. I mean, sometimes we think, for example, like Ling Rinpoche, the great master, His Holiness Dalai Lama have the vision of the many deities, and his, Ling Rinpoche also has the vision of, like Yamantaka, Chagas, Trijang Rinpoche also has the vision of the Vajrayogini, Heruka, and also Pabonga Rinpoche, the direct vision of the Vajrayogini, right? And then Siddhamanitara, and then many other, deities like Heruka Chaka Samvara, by this. And also, we say Chunde Rinpoche also had the vision of, the like Tara, right, white Tara.
Then
so forth.
should we stop here, because we our translator has to leave. So We're just
Oh,
gonna
okay.
end right here. Thank you. Dạ, xin cảm ơn mọi
Okay,
người.
sure.
Dạ, mình ngừng ở đây. Dạ, cảm ơn chị Kim nhé. Dạ.
Okay, okay,
So
yeah.
you can do dedication.
Giờ thì người ta đã mà sẽ được chương trình chỉ cho mình vào thì sẽ là okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ben.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for participating. Dạ, xin cảm ơn tất cả mọi người. Dạ, mình hẹn gặp tuần tới. Dạ.
Thank you.
Thank you ban tổ chức. Thank you so much. Thank
Yeah,
you
you're
thầy.
welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
So just a reminder, if you have questions, please use our link. Or any question that doesn't have to be what was taught or in the book, anything comes up, this is the chance for us to ask the questions as we please. Dạ, xin cảm ơn mọi người. Xin nhắc nhở là nếu mà có câu hỏi thì mình có thể dùng cái link mà Trang đã gửi ra để mà đặt câu hỏi, là không cần phải là ở trong những cái trang mình đã đọc, nhưng mà nếu mà có những cái câu hỏi nào mà thắc mắc mà cần thầy giải thích thì mình cứ đặt câu hỏi rồi mình sẽ lựa lúc để mà để cho thầy trả lời nha. Dạ, xin cảm ơn tất cả mọi người. Xin hẹn gặp mọi người tuần tới. Thanks everyone. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.